But every year I give out a Welch Award to an employee who's had an impact on the business over a long period of time. I'd invite Jason Lovelace, who's our president of healthcare, and Hunter Arnold, our president of Asia, to come on up at this point. And so Jason brought me this candidate and said, I think he would be perfect person for the Welch Award this year. And I agreed. I am a little biased because he is from my hometown. So I'm going to let Jason talk about him and his impact on the business, and we'll introduce him.
So I'm going to share a funny story first, and Hunter has an even funnier story that he's going to talk about. But the winner of this award, I'll first give you his name. His name is Prad. Now, if you are an employee of Career Builder, I'm sure you have heard the name Prad before. But I like to take a step back because I've known Prad the longest. I've known him for about 15 years. And the unfortunate thing about working for Career Builder, one of the few, is that if you work for this company, anytime somebody hears that you work for Career Builder, they ask you if you can help them get a job. And so throughout your personal life, you're out there talking to friends, you meet people, and they say, oh, can you help me get a job? Well, I met this individual, Prad, about 15 years ago, and that question came up. And I said, well, Prad, what do you do? I work for a bank. Okay. Well, have you looked on CareerBuilder.com for any postings that are at banks? No, I haven't. I want to sell, and I understand Career Builder is a great sales organization. I can sell anything. I said, wow, well, he's got a little bit of perseverance, doesn't he? He said, let me tell you, I could sell a comb to a bald man. That was the initial conversation. I said, okay, Prad. Well, I'll look into it and see what we can do. Well, just like many of these other things, I thought maybe he had had a few too many cocktails at the event that we were at and just let it slip to the side. But this man did not let it die and called me every day for 2 weeks. Well, I figured, okay, probably should at least give him a look, but I knew it wasn't going to be my problem anymore. It was going to be my friend here, Hunter, who was running our small business unit at the time. And so when I look at Prad and his success, and you're going to see a video in a few minutes, it's all about that perseverance. He never asks why, he asks why not. And he has had tremendous success in his almost 11 years here at the company, and so I couldn't be more proud of his accomplishments. But now I'm going to turn it over to Hunter, who's going to talk, I think, a little bit about what happened when he joined, or when he was about to join the organization. So, Hunter?
So when Jason and Matt asked me if I wanted to say a few words about Prad, I knew that first, I would have to tell some stories that required a little editing. I'll just say that. But before I start talking about him, because he's been a part of my life for more than a decade, I just want to make something clear because I have my reputation as an insensitive bore to maintain up here. If it appears as though I'm becoming slightly emotional, it's not because I love him or care about him. It's my gag reflex because I happen to be looking at Andy Strider right now. Which is tough for anybody for any sustained period of time. So that's my caveat, wanted that to be clear. It's funny, Prad sort of pervades your life. I mean, I can't tell you how often something happens and Prad pops into my brain. When Matt showed the picture of Ryan earlier today eating the macaroni, I thought, God, he eats cleaner than Prad. I should also, in the interest of truth, representing truth, I should also tell you that I spent a lot of times in Matt's office, which unfortunately for me is sort of the adult version of being called to the principal. That was a cropped photo. Matt also eats macaroni shirtless by the fistful. So not appropriate for today, but that's how it's real. When I think about Prad, there's three key things. One of them is perseverance. That's the one I'm going to close with today. But there's three key things about Prad that I think are so representative of the DNA of this company. One is that the guy has boundless love and energy for life. I'll tell you a story where I knew that this guy literally could just go and go and go if there was fun to be had. And again, I'm going to tell a slightly edited version of this story. We were at a company event, and Prad had been overserved, shall we say. Midway through dinner, shocking, I know. Midway through dinner, I actually had to go take Prad and let him lie down in the floor of the limo that the event was on, because he was a little roughed up. So we finished dinner, we got in the car, He was sort of, laying there listlessly. And not only is he on a quest for fun, Prad loves people, he knows everybody, and everyone knows him. We are driving down Fullerton in this limo. Prad at this point has climbed up to lean out the window because he needs a little fresh air. We pull to a stop sign, and there's a bar there, and people start yelling as Prad's hanging out the window, "Prad! Prad!" Literally in that moment, I watched him rally, pop the door of the car open, which unfortunately at that point was moving, roll out of the car onto the street, and before we were around the corner, he was in the bar with a new set of friends. So if there's life to be lived and fun to be had, that man will find it. The second thing that I think is important to know about Prad is that he is a constantly unfurling mystery. You are always finding out things about him, things he's done. I mean, the guy just has depth at an incredible level. We were at another event one time. We happened to be at the beach having an afternoon, and I looked over, and Prad was down on a basketball court just drilling three-pointers. Now, for those of you who don't know Prad, he's about 2'7", okay? And he was just down there by himself, casually, just knocking out three-pointers. And so when he came back upstairs, we were having a cocktail, I was like, dude, how do you play basketball? Like, how is that a skill set you had? And Prad, in Prad's, the way that he can do, said to me, I grew up in Indiana. There's 3 things to do in Indiana. Sleep with pretty girls, tip cows, shoot baskets. Look at me, I'm not sleeping with any pretty girls. I'm a Hindu, so the cow thing is out. I shoot baskets. So. As you see, he always applies a succinct amount of reason to all of his thought processes as well. And then the last thing about Prad is, Jason said this, he is the most persistent and committed person that I've ever met. Sometimes, to Jason's point, it manifests itself in a way that causes you a bit of trouble. When Jason turned Prad over to my department about 11 and a half years ago, he came in, he interviewed. It was a friend of Jason's, and so of course he was given an interview. He scared the living crap out of the person that he interviewed with, so they declined to hire him. About 4 weeks later, this manager, who shall go nameless, that declined to hire Prad, came into my office and said, hey, Hunter, I got to have a conversation with you because I've got this problem and I don't know how to solve it and I'm a little embarrassed about it and I just need your advice. I was like, yeah, what's the problem? I have this candidate that won't take no for an answer about being hired. I was like, how is that a problem? He's like, well, he calls me a lot. And he constantly is saying I should. I was like, this is not the kind of problem you should bring into my office. Like, so don't answer your phone, right? But you like this is not a big deal. He's like, I'm not entirely sure you understand. Like, it really sucks up a lot of my time and my emotional energy. And I got kind of pissed because I was like, you know what, get out. Like, you're being ridiculous. Go do your job. Well, of course, the way he took my lack of advice was to give my cell phone number to Prad. And I learned very quickly what he meant because Prad would call 15 to 20 times a day and leave messages like, Mr. Arnold, I'm trying to do you a favor. You have a terrible employee who's doing the company a great disservice, and it's my job to let you know that this person is causing the downward spiral of your company's talent in the future. Please give me a call back. So, of course, I ignored him. I thought he was a lunatic. And one day, my office phone rang, and at that point, you didn't have like the name on the caller ID. It was just a number, and I thought it was someone else, and I picked up the phone. And he starts giving his shtick and whatever it was, and I knew who it was immediately. And I had had enough as well, so I said, Mr. Puri, I will make you a deal. You are either the most tenacious person I've ever met and would make a great employee, or moderately unhinged and might kill me if I don't give you a shot. So I'll give you 5 minutes. I want you in my office Monday morning at 7 a.m. I'll give you 5 minutes. At the end of that 5 minutes, I'm either going to offer you a 1-month gig with no pay to prove yourself, or you're going to agree that if I say no, you never call me or my employees again. And he said, I'll see you in your office. So I went on with my week, kind of forgot about it, had my weekend. Monday morning came, woke up, came into work, walked into my office, flipped on the lights. Jesus! The dude is sitting in the dark in my office. After I recovered my senses, I was like, what are you doing here? And he said, you told me to be in your office at 7 a.m. So I waited till someone opened the door. I found it. I looked for your nameplate on the door, and I'm here. It's not 7 a.m. Let's talk. So mostly out of fear, after the 5 minutes, I agreed to hire him. And we literally had a meeting where I said, this guy's a lunatic. What territory can we give him where he will not be able to hit his quota for the month so he can go away? By the way, HR also was like, you can't hire someone and not pay them. The beginning of a lot of times, HR has looked at me with this look. Like my dog when I say there's no cookies. So the management team literally goes and looks in the data and says, we've never sold a job posting in Helena, Montana. I was like, great, he's our Helena, Montana specialist. And at the end of the first month, and this was a lot back in the day, he'd sold like $33,000 worth of job postings in Helena, Montana, which was 6 times the quota of a rep after their training and ramp up. So we got stuck with him. And that's the way he's sold ever since then. I will tell you that there is, the other thing about Prad is he's so good a salesperson. He can do in about an hour and a half what any other salesperson does in an 8 or 10 hour day, which means he spends 6.5 hours bothering other salespeople and dropping their productivity. As I heard a funny story a couple of years ago. Rosemary, our head of HR, pulled me aside and she goes, I heard the funniest rumor about when Prad started, because there's so many Prad stories. She said, I heard that because he used to walk around and bother the other salespeople, that when he started, these were the dot-com days, that you used to zip tie him to his chair every morning and only let him out for breaks. She's like, isn't that what a crazy story? And I was like, God, who made that up? Totally true. Totally true. But what that persistence means to this organization, I can't begin to put into words for you guys. For those of you who don't know, Prad has not had the easiest path in life. And this is a guy that regardless of whether he's here 10 hours a day or whether he is bouncing back from a medical leave or whether he's got 72 things going on in his life all at once that would cripple the best of us, the guy delivers, he does his job. If you cut him, I'm pretty sure he would bleed blue and orange. He always shows up, and I don't know anybody that's a better person or that loves a company more. And Prad, all I can say is that I'm lucky to know you, we're lucky to have you, and you're the best possible person we could give this award. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Hunter. Prad, you want to come up now? I don't think they can wait. Congratulations, sir.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Well, we can turn. We did shoot a video with Prad and some people talking about it. If we could roll that now, and then you might want to say a few words. Thank you.
Surprise, Prad, this is about you. Aren't you thrilled? And let me answer a few questions that I know you have for me, because these are questions you ask me every day. Number 1, I am not mad at you. Number 2, I cannot go to lunch with you today. And number 3, no, I'm not busy. But since this is a recording, you can sit there and try to drill me with those questions all day. This segment is all about the Prad, and boy, do we have some wonderful stories to share.
Prad is a legend. He's sort of like our mascot, basically.
The very first time that I met Prad, you can tell that he was a genuine person and that he really loved working for Career Builder.
Prad is a very fun character.
You have a guy who wins every single year, once again, who knows every girl's name in the company.
He's extremely determined.
If you want to know where a good place to go for lunch, you just look on his tie.
He's extremely just boisterous and real.
I found it weird that my wife was in here yesterday talking about when she wants to flirt with someone, she flirts with Prad. Yep, I find that a little weird, Prad.
Prad loves new clothes, and so his incentives are always new clothes or new shoes.
He's just Prad.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's Prad's world and we're just living in it. I mean, the faster we figure that out, probably the faster we'll get things done.
He was going to get a haircut, and someone had told him to get a number 2, and then I get a call on my work phone. So, Prad, what is it? I look like a baby chick. Prad, I don't think that's a reason why you can't come into work.
So the second time I met him, then as a Career Builder employee, he came up to me and said hello again. I said hello, and he asked if I remembered his name, and I didn't. And so he told me his name was P-R-A-D, and he spelled it just like that, and told me I better remember it because he's a top sales rep and really close to our CEO.
The best way for me to describe Prad is the notorious P-R-A-D. Prad, the legend, the myth, the man.
He's kind of like a role model to some of the other reps that's underneath him.
He's larger than Career Builder. It's bigger than life.
When Career Builder was put together in the early 2000s, few thought we had a chance to succeed against Monster. We didn't have the same resources, we didn't have all the same advantages that they had in the marketplace. So if you go back to like Prad, he has not always been dealt the best set of cards, but it's never let him stop. It's never stopped him along the way.
Prad was brought to me most recently a year ago after he got diagnosed with the same chronic illness that I have.
You know, I'll never forget when I got the call that he had a brain tumor and was gonna have to go into surgery, and he called me and he said, hey, I don't know when I'm gonna be back and I just need my laptop.
And he's beat up. He's beat up, but the first thing he says is, hey man, how are you doing? How's your day? How's the family? I had a big sale today. I'm at 3,047% this month.
The fact that he's resilient enough to go through all the changes, go through all the things medically that he has to better himself, and the fact that he's here. That's the thing that gets me the most, that he's resilient enough to go through all the stuff personally and be back here and do his job speaks volumes.
He is not afraid to speak his mind at any given time and to interrupt or to disrupt any meeting at any given time.
I was having my first meeting with my new AVP at the time. Prad walks right in, and he says, hey guys, what the blank is going on? I looked at him, I go, Prad, I'm having a one-on-one right now, and it's pretty serious. He looked at me and goes, what's serious?
We called it the Prad pop-by. You know, even if your door's closed, it doesn't matter. But Prad, he'll just open the door because there's something he's got to say. You know, it's sort of that energy and genuineness that you have to kind of laugh about it. It keeps you actually smiling during some of the stressful days.
Changed my life forever. Changed my life forever. Having him sidle up next to me every 2 seconds, turning around, banging my knee into his forehead. It was a lot of fun.
Prad wins year after year because he refuses to lose.
I have no clue how he does it. I wish everyone figured it out.
He really is just kind of a staple of Career Builder.
If my career is half as successful as his career here, I'll be a happy guy.
So Prad, I want to congratulate you on a decade worth of employment at Career Builder. I want to thank you for your hard work, your dedication, and really the love for the company that you have.
Prad, I'm real proud of you, man. 10 years, keep it going. Hopefully another 10 years for you.
You've had a big impact on a lot of folks here at Career Builder, you know, especially me and part of my family, and I appreciate you very much and wish you the best in the future.
Well, Prad, I definitely value our friendship. I want to always be able to be friends, and just so you know, and I think you do, I'm always here for you and you can always come to me with anything.
Stop it. Clean your tie. Thank you.
You and I started working together closely a year ago, and both of our futures were uncertain. And fast forward to where we are today, I cannot tell you how proud I am to see what you've accomplished, both in your professional career, but more importantly, in beating a disease that is not easy to beat. You inspire me every single day. And whether you know it or not, even on the days when I don't see you, there's still a little piece of me that always thinks about you and how strong and resilient you are.
Prad, for all of us participating in this video, you do know, as I'm telling you now in person, being filmed and recorded, you are much more than an employee of this company, but you are a friend to all of us. And we appreciate everything that you've done, and we look forward to what you're going to do in the future. Congrats.
Nice work, bud.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.